Hello learners, I welcome you all again in my lecture series on electromagnetic theory. Myself is Dr. Sucharita Bhattacharya, Associate Professor from Guru Nanak Institute of Technology, Kolkata. Now, this lecture series is made for Physics 2 on the course Physics 2 for third semester, BTech, and the streams under consideration is CSE and IT, that means Computer Science and Engineering and Information Technology. Today I am going to deliver my third lecture. Now, as per the continuation with my previous two lectures, I am also delivering now the lecture on module 4.01, that is on electrostatics, where I will give total 3 lectures. Now today is the second lecture on electrostatics. So today's lesson consists of Poisson's and Laplace's equation, then concept of boundary value problems and the applications. Naturally, the questions what are to be addressed in today's lesson plan are as follows. First one is, what are Poisson's and Laplace's equation? Then we will go for what about the boundary value problems. Actually, Poisson's and Laplace's equation are used to tackle the different type of boundary value problems under specific situations. Next question to be addressed is how to apply boundary value problems for system of conductors. How to apply boundary value problems for system of conductors. Next, we will specify the system of conductors. Today we will consider two specific system of conductors. The corresponding questions can be addressed like this. Calculate the electric field and potential for parallel plate conductors. Calculate the electric field and potential for the parallel plate conductors. Then another problem what we will consider today, find out the electric field and potential for spherical conductors. So in the first one it is for parallel plate conductors, and the second problem to be addressed today is the spherical conductors, the potential and the field using boundary value problems. Then we will go for their applications in the form of two numericals. Basically a little bit of change from this in the form of applications. So let us now move. First question to be addressed is Poisson's and Laplace's equation. Then what about those? Basically these two equations are the fundamental second order partial differential equations satisfied by the potential V. So fundamental second order partial differential equations satisfied by potential V are Poisson's and Laplace's equations. How to get them? Let us start with the first expression. It is very much familiar to you all that this represents the relationship between electrostatic field and the potential in the form of negative gradient of potential for electrostatic field. Now come to the second expression. What about this? This is also covered in my previous lecture, which is nothing but the differential form of Gauss's law. That is del dot E. So divergence of electric field equal to rho by epsilon naught, where rho is the volume charge density and epsilon naught is free space permittivity, the electric property of the dielectric, or you can say electrostatic medium or material. Now let us combine these two expressions. How to combine? In the expression for E in Gauss's law, we will use minus grad V. That means del dot grad V minus equal to rho by epsilon naught. If you operate it del dot del, you know it will give us del square. So del square V equal to minus rho by epsilon naught. Now just like my previous lectures, please note that I am using the bold symbol for the vector field and the regular one for the scalar one. Now this del square V equal to minus rho by epsilon naught from here we are getting, which is we are considering as equation number 1, and it is called the Poisson's equation. This is known as Poisson's equation. Now here del square is our well-known Laplacian operator. Del square is well-known Laplacian operator. So physically what does it represent? This operator works, for instance, on a potential field, that is V, caused by a given charge distribution, that means rho. So in the Poisson's equation we are having the Laplacian operator to work on a potential field V caused by a given charge distribution. Now mathematically electrostatics is considered to contain the study of solution of Poisson's equation. Very, very important statement made here, that electrostatic is considered to contain the study of the solution of Poisson's equation. Why? Because if the equation is solved, it is a second order partial differential equation, already we have seen. So if it is solved, then we will find out the value of the potential V. Once V is found out, then from this expression E equal to minus grad V, we can get the value of electric field. That means potential and electric field is obtained by solving this Poisson's equation and using the relationship between electrostatic field and the potential. And once electrostatic field and potentials are known, all other electrical properties are found out for the different systems. That's why it is told that electrostatics is nothing but the study of solution of Poisson's equation. So I hope you students all understand the importance of Poisson's equation. Now, in absence of any kind of charge distribution, that means in charge-free region like free space, rho equal to 0, rho equal to 0. Now rho is the volume charge density. So Poisson's equation becomes del square V equal to 0, which is called the Laplace's equation, which we have mentioned here as equation number 2. So Poisson's equation basically is a generalization of Laplace's equation. On the other hand, Laplace's equation is considered to be the Poisson's equation in free space. Sometimes questions are asked that write down Poisson's equation in free space. Mind it, it is nothing but Laplace's equation. Both are frequently used to solve various problems in physics, particularly the electrostatics. Both the equations of Poisson's and the Laplace's are used to solve many type of electrostatic problems, which we will discuss now one after another. Now, basically, Laplace's equation is a second order partial differential equation, just now we have found out, which can be solved for potential for a system of conductors kept at different potentials, provided the system specific required boundary conditions are known. Very, very important statement. We have got the Poisson's equation and the Laplace's equation. But as per our syllabus, we have to give the different applications of Laplace's equation for equivalent one-dimensional problems, which you can also use for Poisson's equation giving the different charge distribution. So let us first consider what about Laplace's equation, in which cases they are used. They are used mostly for solution of boundary value problems. Now what about boundary value problems? Before going to that, let us get back once more the basic properties or the output what we are expecting from Laplace's equation. If we solve this equation for a potential, then for a system of conductors kept at different potentials, we can apply the boundary conditions to find out the electric field as well as different other parameters too, and which will be discussed now. Next question naturally arises, what about the boundary conditions and what about the speciality of the Laplace's equation? Let us summarize them one after another because things already have expressed, but in a little bit different way. Here we are giving point wise. First thing is that rho is usually 0 in the space between the conductors. For this particular case we are considering, we have to solve Laplace's equation in this region in the space between the conductors, satisfying the boundary condition at the surface of the conductors. Now this is a system of conductors. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here I have taken. So system of 5 conductors which are kept at different potentials. Say V, V prime, V double prime, V triple prime and V 4 prime. Okay. Now we want to find out the potential and the field in the space between these conductors. Say between V and V prime at P, between V prime and V double prime at Q, between V double prime, V triple prime at R and so on. So this is a system of conductors, very general figure I have given, which are kept at different potentials. You have to find out the value of the potential and the field in the space between the two conductors which are kept at different potentials. Here rho is usually 0 in the space between the conductors because no source of charge is kept. Now we have to solve Laplace's equation as sources are not there, so del square V equal to 0. Satisfying the boundary conditions at the surfaces of the conductors, that is very, very important. Now when we will solve del square V equal to 0 here, we will find out the value of V. But since it is a second order differential equation, two unknown integration constants will come. Now how to find out their values? Here as boundary condition you are provided the potential on the first conductor as V, potential on the second conductor as V prime. Now these two are basically boundaries with respect to the point under consideration. Similarly between the next two conductors, if you consider with respect to this point, these potentials are working as the potentials on the conductors which are basically boundary with respect to this point. Similarly for the others. That's why these type of problems are called boundary value problems. Another point we have to consider that operator del square involves here differentiation with respect to several variables. Why? Depending upon the choice of the coordinate system. Del square, the Laplacian, represents several variables depending upon the choice of coordinate system. Why do we need different choice of coordinate system? Because I already mentioned in my vector lecture that we have to use curvilinear coordinates that we will discuss later. Now let us come here. Curvilinear coordinates, that means not linear. Basically spherical and cylindrical coordinate systems we incorporate here along with rectangular coordinates to address various potential value problems depending on the symmetry of the system. So del square represent different variables depending upon the choice of coordinate system, and this choice of coordinate system cover curvilinear coordinates, that means spherical and cylindrical, as well as rectangular coordinates, which depends on the symmetry of the system. Laplace's, now let us come to the specific cases of Laplace's equation where they can be applied. Laplace's equation is of primary importance in solving electrostatic problems. I already mentioned. So examples are capacitors and vacuum tube diodes, and definitely some of the problems we will address here. Laplace's as well as Poisson's equation can also be used for magnetic fields in magnetostatics, where we will represent magnetic potential. Similarly, gravitational potential also comes under consideration for gravitational field. That means Poisson's and Laplace's equation are applied most commonly for electrostatic problem, but they can be applied for magnetic field in magnetostatics as well as in for gravitational field for the gravitational potential, where V will represent the corresponding potentials. So let us now move to the application area. Now as application of Laplace's equation, we will consider here equivalent one-dimensional problem. That means three-dimensional problem will be converted to equivalent one-dimensional problem. The first case we are addressing here is the potential between two parallel plate conductors. So potential between two parallel plate conductors. For that purpose, we have taken two parallel plates which are kept separated by a distance along x-axis, say. And these two plates we are considering infinitely extended, mind it, infinitely extended along y as well as z direction. So y is this one. So infinitely extended, that means lengthwise, and along z. So widthwise we can say it is infinitely extended, whereas they are kept at finite separation, say d, between the two plates. The separation is maintained as d. Now, since we have to find out the potential and the field in the space between these two conductors, and no source of charge is kept here, so definitely we will consider rho equal to 0. And naturally we will apply the Laplace's equation del square V equal to 0 to find out potential in this space, because in Poisson's equation we are putting rho equal to 0. Now, this is the case of parallel plate conductors. Naturally, the three coordinates under consideration is x, y, z. So, we will apply rectangular coordinate system for Laplacian del square. So, corresponding to the parallel plate problems, the rectangular coordinate systems will come to replace del square, the Laplacian. What I mentioned in my previous slide, it depends on the choice of the system, the del square, the variables. So del 2v del x2 plus del 2v del y2 plus del 2v del z2 equal to 0. This is basically three-dimensional problem, but we have to convert it to equivalent one-dimensional one. Now, following symmetry considerations of the problem, here potential V varies with x only, because you have considered the separation between them as finite. So potential V will depend on the separation between the plates along x, so finite one. Whereas y and z are considered to be of infinite extent. Y and z considered to be of infinite extent. That means when we are talking about del 2v del y2 and del 2v del z2, that means variation of potential with respect to y and variation of potential with respect to z. As y and z both are infinitely extended, we will get these two terms to be 0. That means del 2v del y2 del 2v del z2 will be 0, as y and z are considered to be of infinite extent. So equation 3 basically is converted to del 2v del x2 equal to 0. So equivalent one-dimensional problem. By choosing the symmetry of the system in terms of y and z dependence, we are converting the three-dimensional problems to equivalent one-dimensional problem. Since here we have only one variable, that's why this partial derivative you can replace in terms of total derivative. There will be no harm, because other two variables are now not in use. Now, this is a second order differential equation. That means we have to integrate it twice to get the value of V as solution. After first step of integration, we will get from here dv dx equal to a. Very easy one. All of you are familiar with it from your 12th standard. That is dv dx equal to a after first step of integration, where a is the integration constant, which is not known to you, unknown integration constant. Now let us go for the second step integration. We will get v equal to ax plus b, where b is another integration constant. So after second step of integration, we are getting b as second integration constant. So a and b are two unknown integration constant, and in terms of them, we are expressing the v value in the space between the two parallel plate conductors as ax plus b, as ax plus b. Now to find out these two unknown integration constant, as per the norm of mathematics, we need two boundary conditions. Two boundary conditions, two unknown, two boundary conditions. Now what about the boundary conditions? At x equal to 0, you have this plate where we have considered the potential as V1, and at x equal to D we have the second plate where we have considered the potential to be V2. That means these two plates are working as boundary with respect to any point here in between the two plates. That means the boundary conditions we are now categorized as V equal to V1 at x equal to 0 and V equal to V2 at x equal to D. So if you put the value, first one, say V equal to V1 at x equal to 0, you will find out B equal to V1. So now B is known in terms of the known or given parameter on the plate as potential V1. Okay, now B is not unknown anymore. Now, if you use the second boundary condition, that is V equal to V2 at x equal to D. If you put V equal to V2 at x equal to D and B value is already found out as V1, what will be the A value? Obviously, V2 minus V1 by D into X. We will get the A value as V2 minus V1 by D. It is the A value, and from this expression, B will be found out to be V2 minus V1 by D into X plus V1. I am repeating this step once more. So at x equal to 0, B equal to V1. At x equal to 0, if you put, you will find out B equal to V1. So put B equal to V1 here, what you will find? V equal to AX plus V1. Now next boundary condition is V equal to V2. Put the value here at x equal to D. Now it is V1. So what about A? V2 minus V1 by D. V2 minus V1 by D. So now also A expressed in terms of the known parameters. So let us put the values here. So what we are getting? V at any point in between the two plates is given as A means V2 minus V1 by D into X plus B means V1. So it is now known. What about the corresponding electric field? The corresponding electric field is expressed as minus gradient of V. The corresponding electric field is expressed as minus gradient of V. Here variable is X. So it is minus dV dx. Minus dV dx means V2 minus V1 by D. Because X derivative is 1 and it is an vector electric field. It is a vector. So what about the corresponding unit vector along this direction? That is X cap. So electric field is minus dV dx equal to minus V2 minus V1 by D into X cap, where X cap is the unit vector along the direction of X. So electric field is constant because everything is given here and nothing is changing. Nothing will change. So in this particular case, electric field is constant and is directed along X towards the plate of obviously lower potential. Negative sign will come. So electric field is from higher to lower potential. So this is the way to solve potential between two parallel plate conductors. Now let us come to a specific case. Calculate the potential between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor. Now it is specified as the potential, obviously field you can also find out. Here as an example we have taken, calculate the potential between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor. So in the previous one we considered conductor. Now you are considering that you find out it for parallel plate capacitor. So this is the figure for the parallel plate capacitor under consideration, where we have taken the two plates of separation D between the plates. The figure is given like that. Just take a look. Here, the finite distance we considered along Z. The finite distance we considered along Z. That means plates are kept vertically one after another at a separation of D along Z. Whereas the plate extension along X and along Y, are considered to be of infinite extent. Plate extension or dimension along X as well as along Y are considered to be infinite because already I mentioned we considered equivalent one-dimensional problem as per our autonomy syllabus. Okay. Now it is the capacitor. So the lower plate say is considered to be grounded, while the upper plate is maintained at a constant potential Vd. The lower plate we are considering to be grounded or arched because it is the case of capacitor, and the upper plate is kept at a constant potential Vd since it is at a distance d. That's why we are considering it to be Vd. Now, what are the steps to follow? Because already we have addressed this in the previous slide. First, what to do? We have to solve d2v dx dz2 equal to 0 because in this area no source of charge is there. So, we will consider that rho equal to 0. So, del square v equal to 0. Here only variable is z because it is a finite extent as we have just done it. That's why I have given the steps here, not the detailed workout, that d2v dz2 equal to 0. Then by solving what we will find, just we have found out it, b equal to az plus b. In the previous slide, we considered everything in terms of x. Is considered everything in terms of x because x was of finite extent. But in this problem, we are considering that everything in terms of z because z is a finite extent. So we got b equal to az plus b. Now look at the boundary conditions. Very, very important one. The first one, v equal to 0 at z equal to 0. Why? Because you have taken the lower plate which is grounded or arched because it is a case of parallel plate capacitor. Naturally, the boundary condition changes. V equal to 0 at z equal to 0, and if you put it here, you will get b equal to 0. In the previous problem, you got b equal to v1. In the previous problem, you got b equal to v1 because there v equal to v1 at x equal to 0. You didn't consider the capacitor or earthing case. Okay. Now, b we found out. Next, v equal to vd at z equal to d. So at z equal to d, v equal to vd, let us put the value b equal to 0. So we will get vd equal to a into d. So what about a? A equal to vd by d. A equal to vd by d. Just put the value here. So you will find out the value of the potential v in the space between the two, that is v equal to az plus b. What about a? Vd by z, vd by d into z, vd by d into z. So this is the value of the potential in the space between the two conductors. Out of them, one is kept grounded. That means it is the case for parallel plate capacitor. The expression for potential for the case of parallel plate capacitor. So it is an example. Now let us move to the application of Laplace's equation for the case 2. That means potential between two concentric spherical conductors. Potential between two concentric spherical conductors. Now here symmetry of the system is spherical. So we have to consider spherical coordinate system. The coordinates are r, theta, phi. What about r? The radial distance in case of spherical coordinate system. What about theta? Theta is called the co-latitude. This is the angle made between the radial distance and the z-axis. And what about phi? The so-called azimuthal angle, which is made by the projection of this point under consideration in xy plane with x-axis. So phi is called the azimuthal angle. So all these things you have done in first year mathematics in very detail. I am just recapitulating this coordinate system. And there you found out del square the Laplacian in terms of these three coordinates as 1 by r square sine theta into sine theta del r of r square del r plus del theta of sine theta del theta plus 1 by sine theta del 2 del phi 2. So del square equal to 1 by r square del r of r square del r plus 1 by r square sine theta del theta of sine theta del theta plus 1 by r square sine square theta del 2 del phi 2. Now we are moving to the actual system consisting of two concentric spherical conductors. of radii r1 and r2 and does not contain any source of charge as usual in the space between them. So the spherical coordinate system, what we have introduced just now, that will be used to solve this problem using Laplace's equation, and we have to change it into equivalent one-dimensional problem. Let us consider that the two concentric spheres are kept at two potentials, say V1 and V2, and their radii are R1 and R2, and we have to find out the potential and the field at any point P, which is at a distance R, say, in between these two concentric spherical conductors. Definitely the point P position can be changed anywhere in between them. Naturally, R is a variable one. Now, as the potential at points in between the spheres here depends on R only as per the problem given, that means radial dependence is there. So, they are independent of theta and phi. So, potentials at these two spherical conductors we are considering to depend on R1 and R2, not on theta and phi, the co-latitude and the azimuthal angle. Naturally, the original Laplace's equation, that means 1 by r square sine theta del r of r square del v del r, similarly plus del theta sine theta del v del theta plus 1 by sine theta del 2v del phi 2 equal to 0 is now reduces to del square v equal to 1 by r square del r of r square del v del r equal to 0 only. That means there is no theta and phi dependence arises. So the three-dimensional Laplace's equation reduces to equivalent one-dimensional problem. Now, how to solve it? Definitely we have to integrate this Laplace's equation to find out the first step. If you do the first step integration, what you will find? R square del v del r equal to constant, and that we are getting here. A is the integration constant. A, again we integrate it, what we will find? Minus a by r plus b. B is another integration constant. So two unknown integration constants are coming in the expression of v, the potential between the plates of the spherical conductor. Now what about the boundary conditions? The regular one, just like what we considered in case of the parallel plate. Just take a look. V equal to V1 at R equal to R1, V equal to V2 at R equal to R2. That is written here. Naturally, we are getting by putting the values to simultaneous equations. One is V1, other is in terms of V2 minus A by R1 plus B, V2 equal to minus A by R2 plus B. Now very easy to solve this simultaneous equation. If we take the subtraction, B will cancel out, V1 minus V2 will come, and from there A value we will find out as minus V1 minus V2 R2 R1 by R2 minus R1. Just what we did in the last case. If you do it at your copy, you will find out it very easily. And since it is a 12 standard problem, that's why I am not showing it. And when A is known, then by putting the value either here or here, you can find out the value of B very easily. It will come out as R2 V2 minus R1 V1 divided by R2 minus R1. So the potential at any point P between the two concentric spherical conductors are found out to be Vp equal to minus A by R plus B. So what about A? This is the value, minus minus will plus. So V1 minus V2 R2 R1 by R2 minus R1 into 1 by R plus B. B is this is the value R2 V2 minus R1 V1 by R2 minus R1. That means potential depends on R only as variable, and it is inversely proportional to R, that is for the spherical system. Now, what about the corresponding electric field at the point P? Obviously, it is minus grad V, means here it will be minus dV dr. Here it will be minus dV dr. So, no R dependence as existing here. So, this term will not at all contribute. So, what about electric field? Minus dV dr means V1 minus V2 R2 R1 by R2 minus R1 into 1 by R square. Minus sign will come, but that minus sign will take care. Here it will be plus, and r cap is the unit vector, so along which the electric field is moving. So electric field varies as square of the distance. Obviously it is radial and is directed towards a plate of lower potential and is directed towards a plate of lower potential. Now let us specify this problem to a particular one in the form of calculate the potential of a concentric spherical capacitor. Calculate the potential of a concentric spherical capacitor. Here, in addition to the potential and the electric field, we will try to find out something more. Let us take them one after another. So, it is a spherical capacitor system with inner conductor having a radius A, and let the potential on which is VA, and the outer conductor is grounded with radius B. That means potential here is considered to be 0, and here the potential is constant at A, that is VA. Now steps to follow. Already we have solved del square V equal to 0 because we want to find out first the potential and the field in the space between them. So no source of charge we considered. Naturally del square V equal to 0. If we integrate it twice, we will find out V equal to minus A by R plus B. We have seen it. Now what about the two boundary conditions to find out two unknown integration constants? Just take a look. V equal to 0 at R equal to B because outer one is grounded. So if you put the value here, you will find out B equal to A by B. You will find out B equal to A by B. And V equal to VA at R equal to A, the first boundary condition, or rather here the second boundary condition, because this one we consider as the first one. So we will find out from there A value will come out as VA by 1 by B minus 1 by A. Now look here at the A value. Here in the A value, all the parameters what you are using, VA, VA, everything is given. But in the B value, you have expressed in terms of A. So now you have to replace this A here so that B can be expressed in terms of all known parameters. Okay. So if you just do that, what about V will come? Minus A by R plus B. So this is the A value, minus A by R into 1 by R will come, plus B. B equal to A by B. So this factor will be common, and from here you will find out 1 by B factor. It is minus, so it will be 1 by R minus, and it is plus, so 1 by B plus, and this is the common factor. So you got the potential value at the point, at any point in between these two, okay, for this concentric spherical capacitor. So what about the electric field? Minus dV dr, the electric field value will come out as minus dV dr. From here no term will come, from this one it will come out. So minus 1 by R square plus into R cap, where R cap is the unit vector definitely representing the direction of the electric field. Now these two already we have done in case of the parallel plate capacitor as well as the spherical conductor and parallel plate conductors. Now this is the case of spherical capacitor. So let us try to do something more. The charge density. If anyone asks you that what about the total charge on the inner conductor, can you find out that? Let it be plus Q. Naturally it will be minus Q. So what about the total charge on the inner conductor? How to get it? It is a concentric spherical system. So what about the area? 4 pi s square into sigma. Sigma is the surface charge density. That means if we know the value of sigma, we can find out the charge on this inner conductor. So how to get sigma? We know sigma equal to E into epsilon naught. Sigma equal to E into epsilon naught. Now this is the Coulomb's theorem. What does it represent? The electric field on the surface of a charged conductor is given by sigma by epsilon naught. So here the charged conductor surface is considered to be
This inner spherical conductor of radius is A. Okay. So sigma will be equal to epsilon naught into E, where at r equal to A. Sigma will be equal to epsilon naught into E, where at r equal to A. So total charge on the inner conductor, what will be the value? 4 pi a square into sigma. So 4 pi a square into sigma. Sigma means epsilon naught will come out. And a square means it will be a square, r equal to A. So a square will cancel out with this. So we will get 4 pi epsilon naught VA by simplifying it, AB by B minus A. AB by B minus A. So this is the total charge. Now to calculate the capacitance of the capacitor spherical, we can do that also. What about the capacitance of the capacitor? We found out the charge. So capacitance means charge by potential. So move the outer sphere to infinity. Move the outer sphere to infinity. That means what about B? It is infinity, and in that case we can consider in place of VA, V, the potential at any finite point. Then what about capacitance? Charge by potential. So this is the charge value, 4 pi epsilon naught VA. Take this B in the denominator. What it will give you? The B by B means 1 minus A by B. B is infinity. So it will be 4 pi epsilon naught V into A. 4 pi epsilon naught V into A. Okay. That is the value of the Q. So Q by V means 4 pi epsilon naught into A. The value of the capacitance for this concentric spherical capacitor. So here you are finding out the concentric spherical capacitor capacitance also, the charge also, the total charge on the inner conductor. Okay. So this is a very famous example to calculate the potential of a concentric spherical capacitor, where you can find out the capacitance and total charge also, but starting with the same Laplace's equation. Okay. Now let us come to some university questions which are given based on the lectures from my last two classes. What is electric field intensity? Give an expression of the same. So it is discussed in very detail in the class. State and explain Gauss's law in electrostatics. Obtain its differential form. Very, very common question for the paper set, a very favorite one, and I think all the students can do it. Discuss various properties of a conservative field. Lot of properties we have discussed here. Show that electrostatic field is conservative in nature. That means you have to show either del cross E equal to 0, or you can show equal to minus grad V. No harm, anyone you can go. Show that if a field is conservative, it is also irrotational. Again, you can do either of them, start with either of them. If the field is conservative, that means contour closed loop integration E dot dl equal to 0. Okay. Then how to show that it is irrotational? Apply Stokes theorem. What you will find? Del cross E dot ds equal to 0. That means del cross E equal to 0. So curl 0 means it is irrotational. Here. Derive Poisson's and Laplace's equation from Gauss's law. Already done. Poisson's and Laplace's equation just few minutes back we have done from Gauss's law. Write down Laplace's equation in spherical coordinates and solve it for a spherical capacitor of radius r. Laplace's equation you are asked to write down. So we have done it in spherical coordinates. That means in terms of r, theta, phi you will write. And then solve it for a spherical capacitor of radius r means you will consider only the radial dependence, no theta or phi dependence. A few minutes back we have done in detail. Here it can be given for the parallel plate capacitor or conductors to the similar type of problems. So I think all the students understand. Okay. So let us finish our today's class. So thank you, my dear students. Stay safe, stay healthy.